Welcome everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today with Mega Goal 3.1. We are diving into Unit 6, titled The Gender Divide. We'll explore the fascinating aspects of form, meaning, and function. Over the next few slides, we'll investigate how gender influences language and communication. So let's get started and see what insights await us. Now, let's look at the key rules for doing the exercises. First, we need to apply adjectives plus prepositions plus gerunds correctly. This is important for expressing opinions and describing habits accurately. Next, we use words connected with hobbies and interests to make our sentences more natural and engaging. We also need to practice forming sentences using the present perfect progressive, which emphasizes ongoing actions, and the present perfect simple, which highlights completed actions or experiences. It's crucial to understand the difference between these two forms so we can choose the right one depending on the context. Finally, our lesson objectives are to thoroughly understand these points, highlight the most important concepts, and connect everything to the overall theme of improving our language skills. Keep these rules in mind as you work through the exercises, and you'll be well on your way to mastering these grammar points. Now let's look at some examples of how we use has and have in the present perfect simple tense. For instance, we say, "He has driven 400 miles. This shows that at some point in the past, he completed the action of driving, and it may still be relevant now. It's important to remember that have and has are used with different subjects. With I, you, we, and they, we use have. For example, I have finished my homework, or they have visited the museum. On the other hand, with she, he, and it, we use has. For example, she has traveled to Japan, or it has rained today. Now moving to the grammatical structure, the present perfect simple combines have or has with the past participle of the main verb. For example, have watched, has eaten, or have gone. This tense is especially useful when we want to talk about how many times something has been done or how many things have happened, often highlighting the number of times or actions completed. For example, I have seen that movie 3 times, or they have visited 5 countries. Remember, the key point here is that the present perfect simple helps us connect past actions with the present, often emphasizing the number of times something has occurred or been done. Today, I want to talk about how we use the present perfect progressive tense to express the duration of an ongoing action. For example, when I say, I have been teaching since 2015, I'm emphasizing how long I've been teaching. Notice how we use have with I and you, and has with she, he, or it. This tense combines the present perfect with the continuous form, so we add been and the ing form of the verb. For instance, have been teaching or has been teaching. It's a great way to highlight the ongoing nature of an activity over a period of time. In our examples, I have been teaching since 2015 shows a duration that started in the past and continues to the present. Similarly, she has been teaching for 10 years also emphasizes the length of time she's been engaged in teaching. Remember, this tense helps us connect the past and the present, focusing on how long something has been happening. It's especially useful when you want to highlight the ongoing nature or duration of an activity. Today, I have been studying all day. Now, a common question you might hear is, how long have you been studying? This is where we use time expressions with the present perfect progressive tense. For example, we use words like how long, for since, and expressions such as all day, all week, all month, all year. So if I say, I haven't slept at all, my phone has been ringing all night, I'm highlighting an ongoing, maybe annoying situation. The key point here is that the present perfect progressive is perfect for talking about actions or situations that started in the past and are still continuing now. It's especially useful when describing something that's been happening repeatedly or continuously, often with a sense of frustration or annoyance. So remember, if you want to emphasize the duration of an ongoing action, this tense and these expressions are your best tools. Now let's look at how we use the present perfect continuous tense. We use it mainly for 3 reasons. First, to talk about unfinished actions that started in the past and are still happening now. For example, I might say, I've been working here since 2010, which shows I started working here in 2010 and am still working now. Another example is, I have been writing emails all day, indicating that I started earlier and am still in the process. We also use it to express annoyance, like my phone has been ringing all night, showing frustration over a continuous situation. Next, let's examine the examples. When I say, I've been writing emails all day, it emphasizes the duration of the action. Similarly, my phone has been ringing all night highlights how long the ringing has been going on and the ongoing nature of the situation. Now, shifting to the use of the present perfect simple tense. This tense is mainly used for completed actions, things that are finished. For example, I've already written 10 emails tells us that the action is complete, and the number gives us an idea of how many times I've done it. We also use it to talk about actions that haven't happened yet, as in, I haven't eaten lunch yet. Additionally, it's useful for asking about the number of times something has happened, like, how many cars have you driven? In summary, the present perfect simple often focuses on the completion and frequency of actions, while the present perfect continuous emphasizes the ongoing nature and duration of actions, still in progress or recently continued. Both are essential tools for describing experiences and actions that connect the past and the present. So on this slide, we're looking at how to correctly express the phrase, have finished, in different contexts. The first one, I have finished my painting, is the most common and correct way to say that I've completed my painting. It uses the present perfect tense, which is often used to describe actions that are completed recently or have relevance to the present moment. Then we see has finished, which is the third person singular form. For example, she has finished her homework. It's important to remember that has finished is used with singular subjects like he, she, or it. Next, we have has finishing, which is actually incorrect in standard English. This form isn't used because finishing is a present participle, and the correct structure for the present perfect is has finished, not has finishing. Similarly, have finished is the correct form for plural subjects like we or they. For example, we have finished our project. Finally, have finishing is also incorrect for the same reason as has finishing. The correct form is have finished. The key point here is understanding the correct use of the present perfect tense with have and has, and recognizing that finishing alone doesn't work in this tense. This is an important part of mastering verb forms in English, especially as it relates to expressing completed actions. It connects to the overall theme of tense and aspect, helping us communicate clearly and accurately about the timing of our actions. Now let's look at some common phrases that involve the verb have and different tenses. On the slide, you'll see examples like have playing, have played, and has played. These might look familiar, but it's important to understand how they fit into proper sentence structure. For example, have played is the correct present perfect form, which is used when talking about actions that happened at an unspecified time before now. Then you see has played, which is just the third person singular form used with he, she, or it. The phrase has playing is actually incorrect because has should be followed by the past participle played, not the present participle playing. This is a common mistake, so it's good to clarify that. Finally, the sentence, he alone, is meant to be completed with the correct form of the verb. So you would say, he has played alone, emphasizing the action completed in the past with relevance to the present. Remember, understanding these forms helps us communicate more accurately about past experiences and actions. It's all about matching the correct auxiliary verb with the right verb form to express time properly. Now let's take a look at this sentence. Ali and Adam make a sandcastle for 3 hours. Here, we're exploring different ways to express ongoing actions in the past using perfect and continuous tenses. For example, have been making indicates that they started making the sandcastle in the past and continued doing so for a period of time up to now. Have made suggests that they completed the action at some point before now. Have been followed by making emphasizes the ongoing nature of their activity over a specific period. Has making is incorrect because has should be paired with a present perfect form, but it needs to be followed by been plus the ing form. And have finished shows that they completed the task. Understanding these different forms helps us describe actions at various stages, whether they're ongoing, completed, or recently finished. In this case, since they've been working for 3 hours, have been making is the correct choice to highlight the ongoing effort. Let's take a closer look at some common ways to talk about sleeping and how long someone has been doing it. First, we have been sleeping, which is used in the present perfect continuous tense to describe an action that started in the past and is still happening now. For example, she has been sleeping for hours. Next, we have has and have, which are auxiliary verbs used with different subjects to form various tenses. Then there's have sleeping. Actually, that's not correct in standard English. We would say have been sleeping to express the ongoing action. Similarly, have slept refers to the present perfect tense, indicating that someone has completed sleep at some point recently. Has been and sleeping combine to form has been sleeping, again emphasizing an ongoing action in the present perfect continuous tense. The phrase have been sleeping is the same structure but for plural subjects, like we have been sleeping. Finally, have finished signals that an action has been completed. When asking about the duration of an action, we often use a question like, how long she? Here, the blank can be filled with has been sleeping to ask about the length of time she has been sleeping. These structures are essential for talking about actions that started in the past and are still relevant now, especially when discussing durations. They help us be precise about time and ongoing activities, which ties into our overall theme of mastering English tenses for clearer communication. Now, I'd like to share a little bit about my hobbies and interests. This is an important part of who I am outside of work and helps me stay balanced and motivated. Engaging in hobbies allows me to develop new skills, relax, and gain fresh perspectives. Whether it's reading, traveling, or trying out new recipes, these activities keep me inspired and energized. I believe that pursuing our interests not only enriches our personal lives, but also enhances our professional creativity and problem-solving abilities. So, I encourage everyone to find hobbies that excite them and help them grow, because they really contribute to a more well-rounded and fulfilling life. So, in this slide, I want to show you some examples of how we can express our preferences and skills using a specific grammatical structure. Notice how I start with a simple statement like, I'm not interested in working in the computer industry, which clearly states a dislike. Then I contrast that with, I'm interested in working outdoors, to show what I do prefer. Next, I share a personal skill. I'm not very good at speaking in public, highlighting a challenge. And then I mention a strength. I'm good at using computers. This pattern, where we use an adjective plus a preposition plus a gerund, like interested in working or good at using, is very useful for expressing our preferences, abilities, and dislikes. It's important because it helps us communicate clearly about what we enjoy or excel at, which can be crucial in career discussions or personal development. Finally, I want to point out the timeline at the bottom, 2019, 2015, 2005, which might relate to when I developed these skills or interests, giving a sense of growth over time. Overall, understanding this structure helps us articulate ourselves more effectively in various contexts. Let's take a closer look at this structure, adjective plus preposition plus gerund. This pattern is really useful when we're trying to describe feelings or attitudes about an activity. For example, you might say interested in learning or good at solving problems. The adjective sets the tone, the preposition links it to the activity, and the gerund describes the action itself. This combination helps us express our opinions or emotions more precisely. It also adds variety to our language, making our communication more natural and engaging. Remember, this structure is especially common when talking about skills, preferences, or experiences. So, when you're describing how you feel about something or what you're good at, think about using this pattern. It's a great way to connect your emotions or qualities directly to the actions you're discussing, which makes your language more expressive and dynamic. Alright, so in this slide, I want to talk about a common mistake people make when using past tense verbs. The original sentence says, I am good at playing video games. But if we look at the next line, it says, we have to omit "ed" and add "ing." This is a little confusing because it mixes two different verb forms. What we're really focusing on here is how to correctly form sentences about skills or actions that are ongoing. For example, instead of saying, I am good at played video games, which is incorrect, we should say, I am good at playing video games. The key point is that when you're describing a skill or an activity you do regularly, you use the phrase, I'm good at, followed by the verb in its ing form. So, playing instead of played. Now, the phrase, find the fib, is a fun way to test your understanding. It's asking you to identify which sentence is incorrect. In this case, I am good at played video games is the fib because it doesn't follow the correct grammar rules. So remember, when talking about ongoing skills or hobbies, use am good at plus the verb ending in ing. This helps keep your sentences grammatically correct and clear. Let's take a look at this sentence. Notice that it says, he is interested on taking photos. Now, this is a common mistake. The phrase interested in is the correct form, so the sentence should be, he is interested in taking photos. The preposition in is used here to show what he's interested in. This is a good example of a common error that many learners make. Remember, when talking about interests or hobbies, always use interested in. And that's the key point here. Now, let's find the fib. Which part do you think is incorrect? I'm fascinated by learning new languages. You might notice that when we talk about this, we often say learning instead of learns because of how verbs change with different tenses and structures. For example, we say, I'm fascinated by learning rather than I'm fascinated by learns, which isn't correct in English. It's important to add ing to the verb when we're discussing ongoing interests or activities, like learning, studying, or practicing. This helps us express that we're engaged in something actively. And speaking of patterns, I want us to find the Fibonacci sequence, often called fib, because it's a fascinating mathematical pattern that appears everywhere, from nature to art. So, as we go along, keep in mind how language and patterns like fib can connect, helping us understand both communication and the natural world better. So, looking at these different activities and the time I've spent on each, it really highlights how diverse my interests are and how they've evolved over the years. For example, I've been shopping for about 10 years, which might seem simple, but it shows how I've always enjoyed exploring and discovering new things. Playing video games for 8 years has been a great way to unwind and connect with friends, and it's also helped me develop strategic thinking. Being a content creator on Telegram for 5 years has allowed me to share ideas and build a community, which is incredibly fulfilling. Collecting comic books for 4 years reflects my passion for storytelling and art. Then, there are hobbies like reading horror stories for 3 years, which feeds my love for suspense and thrill, and playing football for 6 years keeps me active and teaches teamwork. All these activities not only shape who I am, but also demonstrate how engaging in various interests can enrich our lives and connect to the broader theme of personal growth and balancing different passions. All right, for your homework, I want you to focus on the workbook exercises. Specifically from O to Q, make sure to review pages 288 carefully. These exercises are designed to reinforce what we've covered and help solidify your understanding. Remember, completing these thoroughly will really support your learning process and prepare you for what's next. So, take your time with each question, think it through, and don't hesitate to revisit any concepts that feel challenging. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing your progress.